show for MDMC 19. I'm so excited today because we have the awesome Julie Ewald, and I am just so excited to talk to her. And I've been really excited just reading your session and seeing what you do. So if you don't, or if you haven't attended one of our episodes before, each week, every Monday, we sit down and we chat with one of the MDMC 19 speakers. So today, like I said, we are chatting with Julie, who is the CEO and creative director for Impressa Solutions, a Las Vegas-based inbound marketing agency specializing in digital strategy and content marketing. Team Impressa, they're all remote, which is very cool, and they work primarily with unique technology companies and consultancies. Julie is an avid traveler, me too, an addiction to green tea, and is trying her hand at gardening, which I commend because I have no green thumb. And her home base is currently Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I'm in St. Louis. We're cold here, but I feel like I can't complain if you're up in Milwaukee. And I'm going to throw it over and have Julie tell us a little bit more about herself.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm currently buried under a lot of snow in Milwaukee. But yeah, I started Impressa Solutions 7 years ago. So, as you said in your wonderful, warm introduction, we're an all-remote team. We do inbound marketing, work with B2B tech companies, unique consultancies, really enjoy digging in on strategy, helping create really awesome, authentic content, and really making sure that, marketing machines are put together in a way to be really efficient and work well and actually see some ROI for our clients. So,
that's always a nice thing.
Yeah.
Fun ROI. It's always super fun. All right. Well, we're going to dive into some questions, but if you guys have any questions during our chat, make sure to put them in the comments below, and we will jump in and out of your questions and my questions, or we can also grab them at the end. So my first question actually goes back to the talking about Impressa Solutions and the fact that they are an all-remote team, which is kind of a new thing for some people to think about that. I personally work remotely for a company based out of California, and I love it. But could you tell us more about how that would differ from a traditional agency, such as one in a brick and mortar building where everybody works from the same location? And do you think this is something we're going to see more of in the future?
Sure. I think in many ways, we're really similar. So, we offer the same kinds of services. We have the same kind of expertise, but we have I would say a little less overhead. We have a lot less overhead. So, in some ways, our prices can be a little bit more competitive just because we're not paying for the brick and mortar building and all the stuff that goes along with it. We also spend a little more time using some different tech and tools. So this includes, we use Slack a lot and, all the different messaging features in our project management tools to really stay in near constant communication, both with our internal team and then also with our clients. And also instead of folks coming into our office and coming into our conference room, we go to them a lot, which a lot of our clients really enjoy. So we do on-sites and come out for planning and things like that. But most of our clients actually are running really similar models. A lot of these tech companies we work with are also running remote teams. So even coming out for an on-site, everyone has to show up anyway to figure out if we can all be at the same place at the same time.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So, I think that, when you asked about we'll see more of in the future, I think definitely, not only just from marketing, but, across all industries, there's a huge rise in freelancing and remote work, remote teams, remote collaboration, remote everything. People are working in different ways and tapping into resources and talent, including marketing talent in different ways. So, I can see that this is going to be growing a lot because it's really what a lot of people want to see for not only themselves, but also from their collaborators.
Yeah. And I'm curious if you agree. I feel like I've been working remotely for probably almost 4 years now, solely remotely. And I feel like I'm so much more efficient when I'm at home and I'm in my office and there's no distractions. And I can just get heads down, unless I get chat or something, but in those emails. But I feel like if it's a good environment for you, you can just be like a powerhouse knocking through stuff.
Yeah, I think so, and that's even what a lot of like my team talks about too. I tried working in a co-working space before even, because I'm like, well, maybe we should do that.
Yeah.
I hated it. I hated the noise. I feel bad saying this. I hated the guy down the row from me who kept playing guitar randomly. Um,
That's not nice.
it's awful. It was horrible. I really, yeah, being able to be quiet and then also being able to work on my own time, especially when I'm working
Mhm.
on some of the more creative stuff. I'm not writing so much
Yes.
content anymore, but when I was sitting down and writing, maybe I'm not feeling it. It's not coming to me at 2 o'clock
100%.
on Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
But, maybe it's going to be, Monday night at about 10 when I should be winding down. I'd be like, oh my God, best idea ever. It works so much better.
Yes. A
Yeah.
100%. I always have a weird burst of energy at like 8 o'clock at night. I don't know why. But the same thing, whether it's writing or sometimes if I'm working on building a website, like and I have a challenge looking at code. Sometimes you're just like, I can't go there right now. Like I just need to go
Yeah.
there when my mind's in the right place. And for us marketers, remote can be really good for that. Um, I wanted to give a shout out to a couple of our attendees that are watching right now. So we have our speakers, Bonnie Frank and Mike Alton, are all saying hi. And Mike says that at Agora Pulse, where he works, they're actually 60% remote. That's really cool. Again, he loves it as well. It's just some of us, it's just meant to be. So definitely leave your questions for Julie in the comments. Don't forget. And I actually kind of want to jump into now. So obviously we have the trends in what's working, but in regards to digital marketing, content marketing, inbound, big inbound advocate myself. What trends are you seeing in digital marketing right now and in marketing strategy specifically for small businesses and startups?
I think overall, one of the things that I'm noticing is that a lot of smaller organizations, especially, are getting a lot more savvy. Before, I'm thinking back to, 6, 7 years ago, especially when we first started, we'd work with a lot of people and they just wanted to get whatever, I don't want to say the cool thing is, but, they maybe heard about content. Well, content's gonna be really good. I want a bunch of content because then all these people are gonna show up on my site. Or I just need someone to do the SEO, and then all of a sudden we're gonna have all these people showing up on my site. They're starting to realize that it needs to be kind of this whole machine. All this stuff needs to come together. And then when you have this stuff all needs to work together, then you need to have some way for people to actually convert and do something.
Yes.
Folks are realizing that there's no magic bullet, and that the stuff actually is a process. It's not that you just flip a switch and then you're like, where the hell are my customers?
Yep.
It takes time to build these things.
Yep. It's no longer, I tell people, it's build it and they will come. No more. It's
Yeah.
much more complex.
Yeah, and I think that, people are getting kind of hip to that, and it's not so much of just whatever cool thing they read about on a blog, or, the one marketing podcast they got turned in on is preaching. They realize that's not going to work. So that's a very good trend. I think another one too is even I deal a lot with strategy, because I think people, we were doing it before people were realizing that they needed a strategy. They were still, they were treating a lot of marketers, especially in small agency spaces, as order takers, because someone who's not a marketer was saying, like, we need this content, we're going to do some stuff, we can afford 30 blog posts, so we're ordering 30 blog posts, with no regard of where it was going. So this idea now that we need strategy, and we're not just going to just jump in and latch into whatever being hyped. We need to set goals. We need to make budgets. We need to take actions that we know are going to actually go somewhere. This is a good trend too. Yeah.
Do you feel like there's like more overall like leadership, or so not just like the other marketing people you may be working with, equivalents at a company, but just overall leadership and things like that are getting a better understanding that it's more complex, and it's not, again, just like flip a switch, like you said. It's got to be that strategy.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a little bit more leadership around it. At the same time, I guess on the other end, there's some troubling trends. We talk about. I'm a big inbound fan. We're a HubSpot partner agency. There's some people though. Yeah, there's some, like, I love it too. And we have some leads sometimes that come to us that bought in because they're like, we need a system. They know this, but then they go and invest in a tool without fully working out their budget and figuring out what they're doing. And they're like, okay, we spend this much money, And then by the time we sit down with them and start doing goal setting, it's like, okay, you're spending 800, 900, whatever a month on a tool. Your leftover budget is $400.
Yeah.
You can't use it. So it's one thing that, I think there still needs to be greater clarity, and so that leadership to really still kind of get that big picture idea, to bring it together.
And figure out, well, I love HubSpot, absolutely. Definitely, is it the right tool for you, or something, a big tool, or do you kind of need to, I won't say hodgepodge, but maybe you need like a MailChimp and a WordPress, or like what is that right solution? No, I totally agree. I guess in regards to like someone who might end up with a small budget, do you have any tips for marketers who have a small budget and how they can maybe better use it or stretch it to get a greater ROI?
Yeah, I think one of the things is definitely making sure that you set goals, and really going back to the SMART goals, the specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound goals. I have trouble nailing acronyms. I feel good that I did that. That's a good sign for Monday. You want to actually, you want to have goals and objectives, and then you want to look at your budget and realistically go, well, how much money does this cost? And start looking at really look at, well, if this is your goal, and look at benchmarks. A lot of organizations really kind of 10% is a baseline, but it really varies. So there are some organizations. We have a tech company we work with that's been in the business for quite a while. They spend like 1% or something absurdly small on marketing. We manage to still perform. I don't know how. I think it might be a little bit of like voodoo magic. I can't even say this is all strategy at this point. But
all the stars aligned and everything came together.
Yeah. The right phase of the moon when we started container. But there are some that spend a lot more, especially startups we work with, who are like they have zero revenue and they need to put money down the pipeline to have people know they exist. But it's really starting with those goals and then realizing to be able to set a realistic budget to reach those goals. If you're trying to quintuple your web traffic and increase your leads and conversions, with that, it might be the case that after we get done troubleshooting, you might not have to quintuple your budget, but you would have to increase it. It's probably not that much of a mess. So really trying to be realistic and be really honest, especially if you're not an in-house marketer, but an agency marketer or a freelancer in that position. Just be really honest with people that it might not be tenable what they want to do. Definitely. Go ahead. No, I was going to say, just really saying that strategy and being able to look at from point A, what those down at the bottom, what those tactical actions are that they're going to take and how many of them they can afford and how it's going to work together to get up there to, the big money goal. And it's always money.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely think, like you said, setting those right expectations, especially for time-wise, what someone can expect in, a certain amount of time. And I also think that there's a lot of great reports out there and stats and industry reports, and really looking at that and showing some benchmarks and things like that. And so someone may not realize quite how much something has improved because they're still not seeing like, oh, well, we don't have a lot of sales, but your following has increased, and that was our goal. So keeping them focused on the goal is hard but important.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think once you have that goal in line to really kind of stretching the dollar, I think one of the things I touched on a little bit, you have this goal is really then as you're making the strategy and you're like, okay, I have this budget, what do we do? Really finding synergistic opportunities, we started out as a content agency, so I'm still, woo content, but content is relatively cheap. On-site SEO, if done right, and particularly, the basics of that are pretty cheap. You can start doing these things and they work really well together and help drive people. And of course, there's some lead capture. You don't have to have Pardot or HubSpot or whatever. It could just be a MailChimp form, but you need to have something then to capture the people and just make sure that, starting to put together synergistic systems. If you're like, I only have so much money, I can only afford content, that's not going to cut it. You need to be able to have, you're like, well, maybe if you only have so much money, maybe you can afford less content, but you also need to invest a little in SEO. You need to invest a little in that lead capture. You need to invest a little bit in the email to nurture those leads after you capture them. So,
or how are they getting there? Maybe a little social. It's that whole aspect of each part of marketing that is definitely critical, and I 100% agree. You got to find that what's right for you is not always right for another company. They have to find what's right for them. So right now, let's take a quick sneak peek at what you can expect at the Midwest Digital Marketing Conference this year, happening in April. So let's take a look. All right, so that was just a little quick sneak peek at some of the things that you can expect, some of the other speakers. So if you haven't registered yet, it is April 16th, 17th, and 18th. Pre-workshop days are on the 16th, and then we have breakout sessions and keynotes on the 17th and 18th. And tickets are only $169, I think, right now. It's the cheapest ticket, gets you access to all the breakout sessions, and then we have some awesome workshops, like I said. So check it out, bestmarketingconference.com. But since we're talking about sessions, I actually wanted to see if, Julie, you could tell us a little bit more, give us a little sneak peek at your session called 10 Tactics for Killer Content and Maximum ROI, which, by the name, I just want to attend.
Yeah, sure. So, in the session, we want to look at some of what I would say are my favorite approaches to really leveraging content and putting together good content marketing and good content marketing strategy to get greater results for less money. So again, this might be a little bit of kind of that, magic stars aligning bit, but it's the things that kind of go to set you up to possibly have those things work out. So, a lot of it it's going to start with having fantastic content. We're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like, what that right kind of content needs to be. We're going to talk a lot about that there needs to be, that opportunity, and we'll kind of discuss, either in terms of building up something from scratch or auditing what you already have, making sure that you have proper opportunities to drive action, whether, what kind of calls to action and conversion opportunities and things like that. Essentially we want to go over all of these little bits and pieces. That's something that a lot of folks, newer marketers might not know about. Veteran marketers, we forget stuff all the time. Really want to touch on this bit so that everyone who walks out is going to have at least something that is going to be actionable advice that maybe they either didn't know, didn't think of, totally forgot, or didn't think of in that way to be able to go and sit down and take back to their brand or the brand that they work with, or to their clients, or to themselves for their own business. So.
Awesome. Well, it sounds very, very exciting. So you definitely want to check out her session if you're headed to MDMC. And we get this question a lot in regards to, is this session right for me? Is because there are a lot of sessions to go to. I think we have, I know we have over 70. I feel like we're pushing 80 now. So, if someone is trying to decide if this is the right one for them to attend while they're at the conference, who do you think this session would apply to best? Is it, B2B, B2C, nonprofits, those super new, I'm just learning about marketing?
Sure. I think that, for attendees, I'm a B2B marketer, so a lot of, my insights and my approaches are coming from that space, but that doesn't mean that this is going to be B2B only. I think people in the nonprofit and B2C space can also get a lot from this. It might need a little bit of tweaking. So for instance, some of my approaches are really thinking of things that have slightly longer sales cycles. If you're in a B2C space with something, let's say more of a consumer good or something like that, you will need to adapt a little bit, to make things a little bit shorter. So in that sense, I think there's some things that beginner marketers, there's definitely going to be things for you, but there might be a few bits and pieces that have some foundational bits that I won't be covering. So intermediate marketers, you're going to get a lot out of this. Advanced marketers, you're going to have some moments where you're going to be nodding along and being like, yeah, you're preaching to the choir, whatevs. And then you're going to be like, oh, wait, take the picture, take some notes. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes. And, I definitely think just overall in regards to content and strategy, it's got to be everybody. It's got to be B2B, B2C, nonprofits. We all have a customer, whether it's a large tech company or it's someone donating $10 to your cause. It's, it could be anything. So I definitely think it would apply. But yeah, awesome. So when you're going to be at MDMC, when you're not in your session or practicing for your session or networking with other speakers, who are you excited to see yourself speak at the conference?
There are quite a few sessions I want to see. There was one actually, and I can't remember who's speaking. They're with the same organization, but it's of course. I actually put down the title of it because I was like, make a note to get this on my agenda. Of course, we can use it. I found it on the internet. This has been the bane of my existence since before the agency I was freelancing. And it's something that, I handle it better now when a client is like, oh no, like, oh my God, how'd you get the rights to this image? And like, oh no, it didn't have a copyright. I found it on Google. I'm like, no, the watermark is not a copyright. I think hopefully they'll teach me some strategies of how to explain this to my clients in a way that's a little less internal screaming and like steam coming out of my ears.
Yes, I think that's very important. Just because it exists out there does not mean you can use it.
Yeah. So I think that I am actually really interested to hear how they discuss this and the approaches. So I'm really excited for that one. There's one with Dennis Damon on data regulations. I think that's one thing you need to stay really abreast of. I know I definitely don't know enough. So
I feel like no one knows everything. Like it just is so much. But yes, data regulation, that fun GDPR, and all that funness. Yes, that'll be very interesting.
Yeah. I'm really excited to hopefully get a little bit more compliant and a little bit more abreast of what's going on. And I think any of the sessions on ROI. There's one, Steph, I don't...
Nissen?
Nissen, yes.
Yes.
I take tiny notes. I can't read my own writing. But yeah, I think that's going to be really great. Someone who's really interested in making sure that the marketing really performs and looking at ROI. I think her session is going to be really valuable, and I look forward to hearing her take on...
I definitely recommend getting there early. Her sessions usually are packed. She is... fantastic. You'll get a lot out of that one. So you can hit both Julie and Steph's and get lots of ROI fun stuff. Awesome. So I'm going to take a look and see if we have any questions. Not right now, but thank you, Mike. I agree. Blog content is something we can all do, and it helps you compete easily with some of the big boys. Awesome. Well, if you guys have any questions afterwards, you can always shoot them into the comments and we'll jump back and we'll answer them. Don't forget to get your ticket to the Midwest Digital Marketing Conference happening again April 16th through the 18th here in St. Louis, Missouri. The ticket prices do go up after February, so they will go up across the board for all of them. So make sure you get your ticket at the discounted price. They go up to full price on March 1st. So don't forget to get your ticket. And thank you so much, Julie, for joining us. It was such a fun time to talk to you today about content and ROI. And again, a big shout out to Stephanie Liu, who always produces our show. We could not do it without her, and she is fabulous. Right. Thanks, everybody.